Confirm if my screen is clear and also my voice is clear as well. Good. Okay. Yep. Okay, I'll begin this session. Okay. Um, hey, welcome to the CET 17.0 QA testing guide. Welcome, everyone. So just gonna give an introduction. My name is Brian. I'm a QA analyst based in the Kuala Lumpur office in Malaysia. Now, for those of you who have attended the past sessions, it's usually me and my partner, but this round will just gonna be me as my partner is temporarily unavailable. Okay, so to ensure smooth presentation, I'll appreciate everyone to keep your microphones muted. If you have any questions, you may ask at the end of the session. Okay? Okay, so let's look at the changes on the extensions, and later on, we will go through the new features that will be releasing in CT 7.0, testing focus areas. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Okay, so there's a list of changes on extensions that I'll be going through. Now, the first two will be, sorry, hello? Okay, I'll be going through the changes on extension. So the first two will be user interface, and the next ones would be CET core related, cat changes, undo and redo stack, and graphics related. Okay, now the first change would be related to user interface. Okay, so this is the implementation of the DIB image to render icons. Now, with the ongoing plan to encourage manufacturers to migrate to use some DIB image from GDI, now this is for general performance improvement because GDI has a fixed limit to which if too many manufacturers' extensions are active, you have too many toolboxes, you can have a risk of CT freezing because it causes CT performance issues. Now, with the migration of GDI from GDI to DIB image, you may have a risk of missing icons. Okay, so this is what we're going to be checking. So just consider this as your manufacturer extension toolbox. Okay, so this is Fika Office. And test instructions would be to ensure the icons are still present. Okay, they are not clipped, meaning they are not cropped, and all of the buttons are functional. So when it is clicked on, there should not be any freezes or crashes when you interacted with it. And if there are special behaviors to where there are multiple states, for example, you might have a toggle that allows you to enable or disable different features, customized features, all right? Transparent backgrounds, different colors, different positions. Just want to make sure they are not blank and they should work the same as before. Okay, next up, this is another user interface change. Now, this is related to the scroll bars. And previously, they do not update correctly after you resize the dialogs. Because it has been really inconsistent and it generates some sort of an empty space temporarily after resizing larger. So let me just pull out an example here as I scroll, okay, to the very bottom, and I resize, it has this empty space here. Okay, so this is an empty space that we do not want to happen on the manufacturer extension dialogs. Now, this generally affects all CT dialogs and listings with scroll bars in general. So all of it in CET core would be fixed. Now it is your turn to make sure the manufacturer extension toolboxes, they look good. Okay, using your manufacturer extension dialogs, if there's any, resizing vertical dialogs with scroll should resize accurately and should not cause any clipping. Okay, they do not crop to cause missing content. And max out scroll bar to the bottom, expanding it further, you resize it. It should update the dialog accurately without any presence of empty spaces. Okay, so next up, we're going to be looking at something related to calculation. So there's a change here which allows you to create or update specials in the query dialog. Now, this is a query dialog from Fika. So there will be a button here that allows you to make special. Okay, specials in query dialog, they allows you to create specials, the unique products with customized information when you need it to. Now, for example, by looking at this Fika query dialog, so this one is actually a bookcase. I right-click on it, then I click on query, you have the query dialog. And here I can make each line of this parts as special. For example, I click on this cat book 2, and you can make it however unique as you want. You can have it to appear as a different price, as a different part number. You can have it to appear in a different description. That's according to manufacturer's requirements. Okay, so this is specials. Then you can create and you can also update the existing ones. Now for testing instructions, you click a product or an option row in the query dialog. You click on make special. Now make sure you can update the parent product or selected options with custom information or specs. Editing one option does not update the other options with the same code. Now leaving required fields blank, it should pop up a validation message and it should not save any changes. So blank fields, it is not allowed. Okay. And next up, click on the product and option row and click on change special. Now users can update custom specs based on the parent product or selected options. Click on the option row and click on add options. Now, instead of change or make special, you can also add new ones, right? Insert a new option row below the immediate select row. You can add custom specifications in the option row. Now click on a product or option row if you remove, and a custom specs will be removed, and it goes back to the default information. Remove special will also remove the add option rows, which is the purple cell highlight. Well, you'll get to see it as you try to test on using your manufacturer products. So please make sure that you can add, you can update, and you can remove in the query dialog when making specials. And after you've made specials in the query dialog, now this is the second set of test instructions. Now this is more focused in the on the calculations of beyond materials. So after you have created specials or you've updated the existing rows to become a special, you need to check the cell highlighting in their own implementations of their query dialogs. So please make sure a special will be highlighted and shows the same in calculation. Verify the pricing fields appear in the query dialog correctly. You can try changing the pricing for part numbers options and make sure this base, upcharge, and total, it updates correctly. And removing the special, it restores back to the default pricing. Verify special pricing, it is displayed correctly for base, upcharge, and list for both the standard and also the new article views that you created, or the registered article views. Now, verify special pricing, it converts correctly according to the currency that has been set in calculations. Now, user special prices should auto-convert to the CET's currency and prices based on the current exchange rate that is set in the calculations. Now, aside from that, make sure all drawings with special still works. And you can also check with order export, such as CIF, BMX, and OFDA XML. Now, the next one, it's also related to calculation. Now, this is related to the reset behavior of IND tags. Now, IND tags, previously, they have been resetting unexpectedly due to manufacturers, all right? Because this can come from customizations from manufacturers with very aggressive IND tag logics. Now, this involves part tags, blocks, or other workflows in ways that are not covered by the CET standard behavior. That's because different manufacturers, they have different expectations, they have different requirements, and they have heavily customized IND tag behaviors. All right, so manufacturer extension A, they have IND tags that resets in a different behavior, whereas manufacturer B, they have IND tags that resets in another behavior, which is highly customized. So for your information, IND tags, this is FICA. These are IND tags, all right? Now, what we have changed here is that we try to improve the control and predictability. Now, with that, we've added a new setting in calculations control panel that controls the reset behavior. It looks something like this. All right, so this is control panel. If you go to calculation, IND tag reset behavior. Okay, so this is new, this drop down. Now in here, you have these three options. Now, what do they do? Now, first off is the legacy reset behavior. Now, this is the historical IND tag reset behavior in CT. So this is the default, all right? So before this even existed, it is the legacy reset behavior. Now, how it works by default is that IND tags will reset when a part number or option is modified. Again, this behavior is entirely dependent on manufacturer's extension code. If they have highly customizable, highly customizations that overrides the code, then it has a different behavior. But the default is a part number or option is modified. Now, if you set it to part number changes, now this is more restrictive. So this is where IND tag only resets when a part number is modified. It will not reset when an option changes, but it still retains the same part number. Now, the third one is part number and option changes, right? So this one, it only resets when a combination of part number and its option changes on the part. Okay, let's look at the test instructions. So for this section, I would advise the manufacturers to check that we will only be smoke testing the IND tag reset to legacy reset behavior. So we just want to make sure that what has been working before still works. Okay. Now, because this is very dependent, it varies from manufacturer to manufacturer. So we're just going to be focusing on legacy reset behavior. Now, in calculations, edit IND tag value, okay, on rows without an existing tag, and make sure the updated tag is applied and reflects a manual edit state. Okay, so if you edit an ID tag from a default to customized one, then you have a green cell over here, right? The cell turns green color with no input restrictions. Now, in calculation with split by enabled, apply and remove custom ID tags at individual, the expanded rows. Now, ensure that individual edits apply only to the selected split items and removing tag works. Okay, so this is where you can expand the option by clicking on this one here. Then it expands and you try if removing works and you try if editing also works. Now, next up, try to remove a custom ID tag, which is the parent one. And if you click on it, there should be a red color X here. So make sure that it resets to the default or blank if none ever existed. And the cell returns to its normal state color, which is not green. So in calculations, multi-select different rows, all right, more than a row, and apply. Try to remove custom ID tag, verify the tag changes is applied to all selected rows. So if you try to do the same action by multi-selecting more than one row, make sure it still works. Okay, then create an article view and edit, add, remove item tags, ensure that the tags are still synchronized and is reflected to all across all article views that you have. Now in drawing space, ensure locking and unlocking. The tags still work. Okay, so this is the drawing part. Okay, lock prevents moving, rotating, whereas unlock restores it. Make sure that you can move the text around and when it's unlocked, and tag edits in calculation still work in regardless of it locked or unlocked state. So on a multi-part product, for example, if you have a workstation, you have a panel, a work surface, okay, that's multi-part. Apply custom item text to its parts, then use reset item text, which is something like this. Okay, you right click on this symbol, you have this option here, reset item text from the right click menu. So whatever changes that you've made, consider the custom text, they should be cleared in both calculation and also 2D. So make sure it reflects the reset. So ensure when working with part text, alternatives, favorites, and blocks, it should follow the intended behavior. Now, if you have a manufacturer behavior, it should follow that. Again, verify that all existing drawings that has part adjustments, they still work. Okay, part adjustments may still be applied after loading, but after you've migrated to 17.0, could cause them to be lost. But in that case, the part with adjustment should appear as a red line instead of missing completely. So these are the things that you need to take note of. Okay, moving on, we'll be looking at CAP. Now in 17.0, we fixed an issue with some polylines missing. Okay, so these polylines in CET, they are the special kind of polylines and they are not really commonly found in the typical CAD files out there. But the issue here is that AutoCAD supports it, but when it is exported to load into CET, it is not supported. So it shows in the AutoCAD here. You see, it even shows in 3D, but it is missing in 2D. So for this one, we would just advise some smoke test instructions just to make sure that it did not break any of the basic CAD functionalities. By using your desired DWGs, import and insert CT, ensure it retains the same loading performance. Okay, we wouldn't want it to be slower, and the insert process should not be slower than before, or it freezes CT. And very important, just to make sure that it looks correct and has no missing entities. Aside from AutoCAD, you can also compare with a different CAD viewer, should you wish. Okay, next up we have something related to 2D, 3D graphics, which is the removal of camera events from the undo stack. So when you do something in CET, for example, when you change the color of your snapper and you rotate it around because you like to check if the color behind it is also changed, right? So when you rotate, that is a camera event. Now we found that the undo stack has been really very limited and inefficient when camera events are involved along with the different actions in CET. So if you pan your camera once or you rotate the camera once, it is included in the undo stack. Now in CT 17.0, this will be improved where the camera events will be excluded. Okay, so when you undo in CT.0, you should not see the camera changes that you have done, but instead only the CT actions that you have done. Using your manufacturer extension products, you can apply several actions from material changes to your quick properties, all right, or stretching. Then you change camera position, such as dragging, zooming in between the process. Verify that you undo will exclude camera events. And also please ensure that with the removal of camera events, the sequence of undo steps are still accurate, right? So if you change the material first before you stretch, it should undo by that as well. Okay, so make sure they are still in the correct sequence. Okay, next up we have a fix with 2D elevation, which is inaccurate, showing objects with orientation row. Now this only affects the objects with row orientation. Now what I mean by row orientation is if you look at this picture here, so in 3D I have this a doll that is laying on the floor, right? So it is oriented to roll on the floor. It is not standing upright. So if you change its orientation to the objects, just like this door, for example, it could be an office panel that has been rolled to be used as a ceiling panel, all right? So you want it to rotate it, and then you want to stick it on top of your ceiling, so it becomes a ceiling panel. So in cases like that, the elevation view 2 tends to misidentify its position. So it causes inaccuracy as you render using the elevation 2. Now, this is the output of the 2D elevation rendering of what it is in the 2D and 3D space. Okay, in 2D, it shows like this, 3D like this, but in the output, it is very clear that the door should be here and not here. So this has been fixed, and it's very important to make sure the elevation 2 that is present in your manufacturer extension toolbox still works as usual. Okay, so in your manufacturer extension component tab, try out elevation view for different layouts. Basically, just carry smoke tests and just to make sure that the elevation render, it is still accurate as expected. And if there are any objects that are rotated, roll in any orientation, it should be fixed. It should still be accurate. Now, you can also check by using dimension tools just to make sure the measurements of the rendering are still correct. So if this seating is going to be 2 meters high, so with the elevated render output, you should also see that it's 2 meters high by using a dimension tool or a ruler, a measuring tool. Okay, next one. This is related to the inaccurate graphics when object is in selection and hidden. Okay, so developers fix an issue where certain parts and categories they tend to show in full graphics when it's supposed to be in a transparent graphics. So looking at this photo here, okay, the problem here is that I'm in a view mode that I'm not supposed to see the cabinets in this view mode. All right, the cabinets should be hidden. Now the cabinets here, it has the cabinet and the base, right? Now the problem here is that this is correct. The cabinets are correct, all right? Because I have it selected and I go into the hidden view mode, I get this light blue transparent graphics. But the problem here is that the base of the cabinets, they are not light blue transparent, just like the one on top it. All right, the base is shown in full graphics, but not the cabinets. Now, to recall, this is part of the feature of the option here. Okay, if you go to control panel, now this option must be on. Okay, show hidden components in selection. So you have anything that is in selection, you go to a hidden view mode, it should be shown in light blue transparent graphics. But for this photo here, not everything is considered hidden because for some snappers that has like multi-parts, some parts still show in full graphics, full color graphics. Now with this, please make sure that this option is turned on when you're testing this fix. So using your manufacturer extension product, switch to a hidden view mode. Now, if you have like manufacturer view modes, if applicable, that would be better. Ensure that the correct parts and categories are shown in the correct view modes. All right. So when it's hidden, it should be transparent with the light blue graphics. Okay, when selected hidden. So it should be normal color when it's not hidden. Okay. They must be in selection to test this one. Again, test rendering in these specific view modes. Ensure the correct passing categories are accurately rendered and not affected by this fix in both drawing space and paper view. Now, by right, if you do a quick render in the drawing space, you should not see the light blue transparent graphics. But this is just an extra test case just to make sure that it does not show. Okay, it's still the same as before. Okay, now that we've done with the changes, so let us look at the new features in 17.0. So we have three new features that we'll be looking at. Okay, so the first one would be an addition of Z-axis measure in 3D ruler. And in the quick properties, you can change the font and line color. Now, this is done in effort to improve measuring in 3D space. A hypotenuse, which is represented by the Z-axis measure, will be displayed when you use a ruler in 3D space. Now, if you look at the photo here, okay, so I'm measuring here at the base. So as you drag all the way up to the ladder here, you have a straight line, which is the Z-axis measure. So this is a separate measure, which is shown in 3D now. It shows the height, okay? Previously, it appears in the quick properties here, but it is not shown in 3D. So this is an extra graphics that is added. So now it lets you look at the height of the straight line that you're measuring. So in this case here, it is the height of this ladder. Not quite exact, but yeah. This is where I'm pointing at. Okay. If you don't want this, you can toggle this on and off by looking at this graphics feature here. So you can choose to have distance or distance and z-axis. And if you're measuring something that is in a different background color, maybe you're measuring something, an object that is in black color, so you need contrast. You can change the font line color to show in white. So this will be shown in white. It really depends on the different situations. So you can switch between black and white. You can try this out with your manufacturer extension products. You can measure by using the ruler tool in 3D space. Again, this is this z-axis measure. It is added to the ruler tool here. So this is where you can activate it. Identify the start and end points, okay? And that will invoke the z-axis measure. Now, with it present, ensure that you can update immediately as you change your endpoint. Okay, this should update immediately and is accurate. You can also manually verify that the measure here is accurate by remeasuring the height of the object that you're measuring. You can also change the different font line color, and toggling works. So you can use the ruler without the measure here by toggling to this option. Okay, so the next new feature would be the new 3D mesh snapping faces. Now, again, this is an improvement done to improve editing and measuring in 3D space. Okay, it also helps in orthographic view, which many material handling customers start to use right now. And it relies really heavily on good snapping just for editing and measuring in 3D. Now, by default, all objects in CET will support additional mesh faces unless manufacturer has this customized code which overrides the code in the core. So let me show you the difference here. So here I have a few snappers, okay? So again, I have the ruler that I've activated. So I'm trying to measure the base of the couch, for example, from here to here, what's the length? And I'm not able to do so, right? You can see how it doesn't snap at all. Now, this is not only the couch, it doesn't snap to any of these objects because it has very limited 3D mesh snapping spaces. Now, with the fix, you can see how it can detect almost everything in 3D space. All right, so with this, it allows for good measuring and edits in 3D space. Now, by default, all objects in CT will support. So that includes your manufacturer extension products, unless it is overridden by a manufacturer customization. So in here, what you're going to have to check is test snapping to and from with a ruler in 3D. Now, if your manufacturer has any specific measuring tools that is very similar to the ruler, feel free to test it. Now, make sure it snaps to the additional mesh faces, and it is graphically accurate to the bounds of the object. Now, what I mean by graphically accurate to the bounds is that there might be a situation where a mesh point it is further away than the chair's base, or it is in the air. Okay, the base is here, but it snaps to an unknown snapping point, which is in the air. All right, it should snap here, but not here. So this may point to the modeling issue of the object. Now, these are things that we have to check with your manufacturer extension products. Now, verify with the additional mesh faces created, it shall not introduce any performance issues. Okay, next up, we have something related to sketch and build. Now, for your information, sketch and build is a new extension that has been released in the previous major release, which is 16.5. Now, what it does, it allows you to draw free form shapes to create constructions, extrusions, all right? So that would be something like this, all right? It allows you to create extrusions, so you can use it to build a structure. Now, what is new here that has been added in 17.0 is that we've added support of custom profiles. Now, speaking of profiles, there are a lot of default profiles that are available for users to apply to the extrusion line. Okay, but with the custom profiles, you can start by creating your own profile by starting off with any of these shapes here. You can start off with a rectangle, a circle, or a custom. Okay, here I'm starting with a rectangle and I'm doing some stretching here. So this is what I've decided. Okay, I put a name for it, and this is my custom profile. And you can create all sorts of shapes to be added to your custom profiles, and that can be added to your extrusion line. Now, for test instructions, now for this one, you need a sketch and view extension active. You create a custom profile by drawing a desired shape, ensure it can be converted into a custom profile successfully. And from the profile chooser, verify that it can be applied onto an extrusion line. And if you have older drawings, make sure it works as well. Okay, that is all for the new changes, the new features, and the extension changes. And now I'll be going through the reminder. Now, in the QA testing guide that is published, we've included a new section called Material Handling Focus Areas. Now, this is done because we have an increased number of users in the material handling industries. And this mainly focuses on the changes, improvements, the new features, which is separated from the CET core. And again, this will not be covered in the CET core webinar, okay? Because it has a specific target audience, because not everyone here, I believe, it is in the material handling industry, okay? So this is not for all. Now, if you have manufacturer extensions that are based on material handling framework, so these are the examples. For example, your material handling extension is based off on essential pallet racking, deep racking, or essential guarding. Then you might be interested to look at this. Okay, for the final part, we'll be looking at basic performance tests because it plays very important role that will affect CET's usability experience. So as we add more new features and enhancements, we should take consideration in terms of performance just to make sure it's not slower, but we want it to be faster. But these are the basic checklists, all right? Turn off any unused extensions, and that leads to faster CT loading startup. You can also carry out a basic memory leak test with Task Manager. So by looking for CET designer executable under processes tab, make sure the memory consumption is not maxed out. You can also compare between the old and the new CET if you're interested. Next up, we can also try using Response Monitor in the QA Tools extension. So this is a very nice tool for you to trace the time taken of the actions in CT. So you can compare between the old and new CT version. Then these are the basic test cases that you can run to check the performance. Now this includes the system startup time, first snap replacement, stretching, copy paste, create alternatives, save load drawing, material application. Now, if you do suffer from any performance issue, feel free to reach out to devsupport@configure.com, and we will be happy to help. Okay, I guess that is all for the CET 17.0 testing focus series. The guide has been published and the recording of the session will be posted there as well, um, latest by next week. Does any one of you have any questions before we wrap up the session today? Okay, if there are no questions, thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.